Yo, it's Jacob here, back again with some more stupidity in my life that I've learned lessons from. Any things that I mentioned in this video are just coincidental and just first-hand experience and opinions. I don't assert these opinions and completely stress that you should make up your own opinion. Today we're talking about how someone I've been shopping with for almost a decade at this point ended up having a falling out with me as a supplier. Here's the timeline. This all happened very recently. I've been working with this company called Paint Addict Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think one of their LLCs might be called Canvas Addicts. And now I'm going sober from Paint Addict Studios. Why? Well, I had two galleries. One was a solo exhibition that I put on, Wildlife of Southeastern Minnesota, where I had a giant, like just a massive human size, like 5-foot metal print. And then another was at the McNiner Museum in Iowa, Mason City, Iowa, where I had a smaller metal print. Both of these prints arrived to me and to the other gallery damaged. The boxes completely fine. The prints inside damaged. What does that say? That says one thing only. They shipped already damaged prints to me and then to the other gallery. This happened twice. I've been shopping with this company for almost a decade with zero issues up until this point. Suddenly, back-to-back issues. January 17th, I order 2 metal prints from Paint Addict Studios. March 6th, order another print to be shipped to the McNiner Museum in Iowa. March 7th, and a third order, I order hanging hardware for the smaller print. February 20th, I email Justin, the owner of Paint Addict Studios of Minneapolis, refusing acceptance of these prints due to the clear damage. Photos are going to be provided later. March 27th, the executive director of the McNiner Museum emails me about the damaged print that arrives at their museum. I forward that email directly to Justin, asking for another refund. March 28th, Justin keeps insisting the print was dropped, even though none of us ever mentioned us doing that explicitly, repeatedly. I demand a refund from Paint Addict Studios and its owner, and Mara offers more photos for proof. We're artists. It's our job to not damage our prints when we unbox them so we can hang them in a gallery. If I can't sell the print, it's literally pointless to me. If it's damaged, it's literally pointless and not deserving or fitting for a gallery setting. I had to have an entire exhibition and an entire other exhibition where I presented damaged work that I would not be able to sell. That's my livelihood. That's how I pay bills. So, he keeps insisting the print was dropped, even though none of us ever mentioned doing that. April 1st, I reach out because he has been unresponsive. April 2nd, Paint Addict Studios asked for more photos, even though we already had sent him photos. On the 12th, I send the same photos again. On the 26th, I have received no response from Paint Addict Studios for over 2 weeks. April 30th, I reach out again, and Paint Addict Studios says to talk to my bank, which is just unintentionally unhelpful. I try to figure out how the disputes ended in his favor. I chat online with American Express's customer support. I, at the same time, call the customer support and speak to Demetria, a 15-year-long Amex veteran who looks at the submitted evidence from Paint Addict Studios, and she says that it appears Justin is lying to American Express and misrepresented Mara and my own email communications in an attempt to defraud both Amex and myself. That is Demetria's opinion, based on the evidence that Justin/Paint Addict Studios submitted. Later on, I send Justin proof of the hanging apparatus charge. Justin thinks I'm well, let's just go on. There's so much more to this. May 1st, I once again reach out to Justin to stress how bad this customer experience has been. Justin randomly decides to spam call me even though I think it's obvious I'm busy or I'd answer his calls. I think this is psychotic, or at least non-professional, in my unprofessional, non-medicine practicing opinion. Mara offers to send more photos because I ended up messaging Justin saying, like, why are you lying to American Express? And he keeps insisting that I'm trying to defraud him because I charged back twice for 2 charges, even though there were 3 separate charges. The first charge was for 2 prints, January 17th. One print was for one gallery, and the other was for another gallery, funded with very different funding. The other print for the McNider Museum was also funded a separate way. These needed to be accounted for separately. And then the third charge was for the hanging apparatus. I mistakenly charged back both metal prints on the January 17th order, and then I amended that after talking to Justin and charged back the other ones so that we could just have each separately funded print refunded as an individual order itself. He didn't do that, which just messes up my accounting. Like, goddamn, bro. I don't know why you're assuming how I run my business. But what's convenient for you isn't always appropriate or convenient for your customer. So after he keeps accusing us of trying to commit fraud, I just email him and Mara at the same time, and I just call him out. And I ask why he's doing this. Mara responds again, offering with more photos. And I ask her and Justin why Justin lied about what Mara said. So once again, we're back here. I then email him again to chop down all the false allegations and call out his lies. I then reach out again to get American Express more evidence about this matter and ask very direct questions as advised by my mentors and American Express. May 2nd. This grown man responds by mocking my email and solidifying his intent to defraud/steal from me based on his communications. That's my opinion. So Justin Strom of Pain Addict Studios literally says in his response email that he will not refund the money for one damaged print to me, but will refund the other money. Both prints were damaged, yet he consciously chose to refund one and not the other because, in my opinion, he's a thief. He then also personally files a false police report to the Brooklyn Park Police Department in Minnesota and never mentioned that this is an ongoing business-to-business matter. So I call Brooklyn Park Police Department to clear things up, and they seem to understand that this man committed a false police report, which I'll get into later. Please note that Justin's own ability to refund the cost of one print shows he lied about not being able to previously refund the other one. He said it would take 75 days through his own Shopify system. So he just straight up lied, repeatedly lied over and over and over, and then filed a false police report because his own white, fragile ego got threatened by being held accountable. That's not harassment, sir. You're doing bad business, and bad business deserves to be called out. Imagine if, like, Microsoft filed police reports against everyone that bitched about changes they made to their operating system, for instance. Yeah, that's not how the law works. That's abusing the law. That's a civil matter, not a criminal one. Don't waste the police and their time. So here are more exhibits. April 30th, I spoke to Demetria. May 2nd is the police involvement. 10:53 a.m., Brooklyn Park PD Officer Johnson, badge 312, called me saying Justin filed a report against me. There's the case number. I tell Johnson this isn't legal due to this being a business matter and nothing more. I offered Johnson to review all the emails and tell him how Amex even said Justin is defrauding me and has been misrepresenting the evidence. Johnson has to do his job, though, and says I should just stop contacting him and says to resolve this in court, to which I say I'm literally filing out the petition to sue Justin and Pain Addict Studios right now. Johnson also says I should file a police report against him to my own police department in Albert Lea. 10:58. I called the non-emergency Albert Lea Police Department to file my own report. 11:03, the Albert Lea Police Department officer calls me back and listens to me read off literally every email between Justin and myself spanning several months. The Albert Lea PD officer is unsure why the Brooklyn Park PD would get involved. The ALPD officer says this is strictly a civil matter due to it being between two businesses and for business matters. He advises me to read up on HRO petitions and file a lawsuit. This is where I start wondering why the Brooklyn Park PD would get involved in the first place, which I asked the ALPD, and they made it clear I could just call and ask. So I did. 11/13. I called up Brooklyn Park PD, and I asked them about this police report that Justin filed against me. They can't find any police report from Pain Addict Studios or from their business located at 8601 73rd Avenue North, Suite 11, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That is a public business. That is public information that is on Google right now. So the officer asked for the name, and I tell them Justin's name. And the officer then says, excuse me, he did file a report personally against me, to which I say that would be a falsified report based upon what the ALPD officer I spoke to had said. The Brooklyn Park PD officer said someone would reach out to me later on. They have never reached out to me ever since, but based on the tone of voice from the Brooklyn Park PD officer, he knew exactly what Justin did, and this might not even be the first time he's done it. Notably, right after this, I got a refund. So here are the cases, or I should say the charges. Here's the damaged print. As you can see, the corner is bent up here. This is the one that went to the McNider Museum. Here's a close-up of the damaged print. This metal is thick enough to where a human hand cannot bend it. So this had to have been bent and then shipped out first. Here's the other print, the giant one that was also damaged. And then these are just some of the emails. So February 20th, they respond stating that it is really bent. March 27th, this is Mara. I began opening it and was fully able to unwrap the piece. Unfortunately, there's a bend. I forward that right to Justin. This is the second print. Is there anything you can do? And then he says, I don't see a picture of the damage. A day later. And then for some reason, he just lies. The gallery email says it looked like someone dropped him. He read that wrong. So then I respond again, March 28th here. Mara's like, I'm sorry you're having issues. So yeah, more on the 28th here. I'm demanding an extreme refund, and I even try to be nice to him. I'm like, hey, you know, if you have business insurance, whatever, you can like go after UPS or whatever for the damages and the value of the print and the lost business. I'm sure, you know, I get business is hard. Being a business owner sucks in a lot of ways. So I wanted to give him exhibits so he can do something about it. And then I just thank Mara for her help. She thanks me. April 1st, it's been a couple days, just following up. I need pictures of the outside done to the boxes. Here's what I got for photos. I send it. April 26th, it's been a long time, no response. April 30th, still no response. And then later in the day, he says, talk to your bank. He failed to charge back on 3 items when there are only 2 panels in dispute, which is fraudulent. They take up to 75 days to make a judgment. That is not factual at all. And the 3 items were because we had 3 separate charges, Dumbo. So then I asked for clarity. Did it get refunded? Did it not? Can you show me where the money's returned? So then I'll know how to proceed. You know, I'm being very transparent, very honest here. I'm still trying to work with Amex. They keep wanting to redispute the charge, even though I'm asking them just to show me where the money was refunded. Well, it turns out it wasn't. April 30th, bank statements showing the dispute ended in his favor. Here's the Amex chat. March 30th, wanted to find a pic of that third charge that should have been for the hanger, so I just send him the hanger charge invoice here. And then I explain all the charges and everything about them just so we know we're on the same page here. I hit him on May 1st again, saying it's now May. Amex said you're disputing the charges. I email him again. I asked Justin, do you have business insurance? Are you running a fraudulent illegal business? I have a pretty good relationship with the IRS and Attorney General and several legislators, which I do. And I always report shiesty businesses to them, as is my right as a citizen. You know, consumer protections are very important as a citizen of this great nation, because you have to remember, from the founding of our nation, it's been big business balancing power with our government. And then remember, the loser in every situation is always the consumer, every time. So I also asked Mara for more information, And then Justin's like, I tried calling. Bro, you called me like 7 times nonstop while I was in 2 different meetings. Like, you wouldn't think after the first time I didn't answer that you would just like text me, email me, call me back later. You're a fucking nut job. Once you file a dispute, we no longer have control over the orders. That is just not true. It's between Amex and Shopify. That is not true. You submitted a bunch of false evidence. And he carries a $2 million business policy, but couldn't refund like $400 worth of prints. He couldn't just write it off on insurance because you damaged them. You goofy. Yeah, you try to act like you know what you're doing in business, but why would you have a $2 million policy and not actually use it, you goofy? So these are the calls, just nonstop. Mara offers more help. May 1st, I emailed Justin more. And I'm just telling him, I know what harassment is. And I kind of just lay into him. I tell him that he's defaming me, in my opinion. I also asked, do you not realize that someone might be busy if they don't pick up after the 7th call? I personally believe he's committed fraud by lying to American Express. He just lied to me again by mentioning about Shopify, even though that's the first time he ever brought it up. And I just said, please go ahead and document everything accurately, since you're the one with the track record for misrepresenting the facts of the matter. You barely remember there being 3 charges. I filed the BBB complaint. So I just go off. I just went off. But I went off in a respectful way. And I literally said, grow up and hire a lawyer to talk to me, otherwise you're liable for all the communications. And I ended by saying, don't act like this is between Amex and Shopify when you literally have the power to just refund the order. So then I just start referring to them as Pain Addict Studios, because I don't want to talk to him as an individual anymore. I need to settle this civil matter with his business, whether it's him or another employee. I don't give a shit who. You did bad work, own it. Whenever I do bad work with any of my apparel, I work with the client on remediation/mitigation of the issue. I try to offer a refund, a solution, whatever works, sometimes both, whatever works. If something goes wrong in business, you got to be accountable. Otherwise, your business isn't going to be successful. So I asked, did your owner, Justin Strawn, personally make these prints, or did another employee handle them? Did your owner, Justin, personally package and ship the prints, or did your employee handle shipping? Did your owner or employee photograph the prints prior to packaging while they sat in the packages at all? Did you take any steps whatsoever to give me a refund after being notified of defective work? If the Amex disputes are dropped, would Pain Addict Studios voluntarily refund the money? Your current lack of communication behind your intentions makes it hard to know. I ask all of this because they never actually provided American Express or me with any proof of shipping these prints in one piece. So there actually was no evidence showing that they didn't ship me faulty shit. So then this is what he says. He just quotes me back and then rephrases everything to harass me. So this goes both ways. So with that said, I refunded the larger one, but I won't be refunding the other smaller one. I'll let Shopify know and make sure they also know that the 3rd print is not part of this, since you won't. Dipshit. 2 orders, 2 different prints. One order had 2 prints, the other had another. Funded through 2 different ways. You're a horrible business person, clearly, based on this. And you committed fraud and theft by admitting that you could refund the one, but that you won't refund the other one. That means you lied about everything, because you were able to refund everything, even though it was in dispute with Amex and Shopify. You're a bad business person. This is a bad business. I hope no one supports them ever, or anything else this man has a finger in. May 2nd, I lay into him some more. And this time I go off and I call him names, because you know what? I'm not going to stand here and be mocked. I'm a grown-ass adult. Wow, you finally communicated, but once you did, you literally admitted to theft. Enjoy the police report. So we just go off. I call him a liar. I call him a fraud. He says he'll be watching for the papers. Have a great day. And then I just lay into him some more. Imagine how proud your parents, kids, and wife must be, big boy. You have to make a living conning artist out of their money, then you force them to sue you. How pathetic of a person are you? Seriously, because that's pretty fucking pathetic, isn't it? So here's more exhibits. These showing both the orders here. And that's about everything. So yeah, be careful when doing business with this company. Pain Addict Studios. I used to recommend them to everyone. But something happened this past year, and the quality and the customer support just tanked. Sunk further than the Titanic. Just absolutely disgusting, absolutely appalling. And then once again, if you have to make a false police report against someone, all that says to me is you're basically a racist, because that's basically a hate crime if you're going to say a brown person is harassing you because you gave them damaged merchandise. Like, bro, just be accountable for what you did. It's not rocket science. You don't need to give police reports against your clientele and customer base that aren't even truthful. That's bad business. That's not how any business should be run. And that's just not a good person. Good people don't file false police reports against people when they're getting called out for being bad business people. That's what evil monsters do that weaponize the police. I have relatives that are police officers. I have relatives that were firemen. I have relatives that are and friends that were in EMT services. You're just gumming up the system with bullshit if you're going to weaponize the police because you can't be a grown-ass adult and be held accountable for doing bad business. So good day to you. You did bad business. You paid the price. Remember, he refunded the one print after I called him out enough times. And then after I called the police back and gave them the truth, an hour later he refunded the other print and hanging apparatus. I was in the right. That shows all of it. So, remember, anyone that watches this, don't be afraid to stand up for your rights. Don't let people con you out of money. Don't let bad business people fuck you over. You live in America. You have rights as a consumer. Consumer protections are a thing. It's a part of regulating businesses, and it's a part of protecting the free market from bullshit that everyone and our ancestors have had to go through since the dawn of time. Corporations, no matter how big or small, will never give a single fuck about you or me unless it affects their bottom line. So you got to remind all these jackass business owners that we, the people, control their bottom line, and never let them forget that. Ever. Thanks for watching. Good night.